Hey guys, we are back here on the NFL Cymru Podcast after a small hiatus once again. That was my fault this time. I was on holiday last week, but we're back. A lot of crazy things have happened in the meantime, and unfortunately, the injury bug has hit the NFL or certain teams in the NFL. Some certain teams that are close to our hearts per se, and we're going to get into that very, very shortly. It's incredible that we're almost basically three-quarters of the way of the season, and me and Guto were having a chat just before clicking record just now, and I can't remember, Guto, the AFC being this wide open. I can't believe when we did the rankings just before the beginning of the season, who would thought that the Indianapolis Colts, the New England Patriots, and the Denver Broncos would be the top three seeds at the AFC? The Broncos and the Patriots are 9-2. I think I put the Patriots to finish third in the AFC East. How dare I do such a thing? Honestly, I can't remember, and I've been watching the NFL for over 20 years. I can't remember the AFC being this wide open. The NFC might be a little bit more predictable with the Eagles and such, but it's an incredible season. It's wide open, and honestly, I can't pick who's going to win the AFC. I have absolutely no idea. The Chiefs are 5-5 at the moment, so obviously they're still in the hunt. However, they're outside the playoff seedings at the moment, which is, absolutely wild. They just lost to the Broncos on Sunday. Begitto, we're going to start off with you because your beloved Falcons have taken a hit over the last couple of weeks. Cue Gito Williams' rant about the Atlanta Falcons. Tell us about it.
Where do I begin? Where do I begin? It's been a depressing season, and we're only halfway. We're only into week 12. We're in week 12 as of now. So, yeah, a very disappointing season for the Falcons. You might as well call it quits. Every week we just feel like we're being let down. You thought the Miami Dolphins wasn't all that relevant. Well, the Falcons aren't very relevant at the moment. The So many things has just gone wrong. I'll talk about the injuries later on, but with all the backstage politics, we've already sacked our wide receiver coach in the second week. We've had three kickers, and
Yeah.
none as good as each other. Um, a lot of the fans want the head coaches, the offensive coach Zach Robinson, to get the sack as well immediately. Um, no, nobody knows what's going on. One or two players has been released due to backstage politics.
Mm.
But when you get coming to the result of things, the Panthers, who are having a really good season so far, you have to admit, they've pulled a sweep against us for the first time in over 10 years, which is crazy.
Wow.
We lost heavily to your Miami Dolphins. That was one of
Mm.
the shock as well. We've beaten teams like the Bills, so to be in the position that we are in at the moment, we are currently 3-7. It's ridiculous if you tell me. We currently hold the number 8th draft pick for next season, although we traded that to the Rams last season. Obviously, we've got a great player in Jalen Walker, so I'm happy with the picks from last season, but to be in the bottom 10 and to not get a pick is a bit of a kick in the teeth. So, um, Penix Jr. is injured for the rest of the season. He's torn an ACL, his fourth ACL injury in his playing career. He's had three injuries in college, and it's his first major one in the NFL. He's been injured once already this season. He missed a couple of weeks, but he's now going to miss 9 months. He might even not make it back to the opening of next year's regular season, which is really, really sad to see. Kirk Cousins, who did not have a good game against the Miami Dolphins, he's going to be leading us on for the next 6 weeks, 7 weeks, or whatever's left. Jake London's going to miss the game this week as well. He might even miss another few weeks. So Not looking good for the Falcons. I'm currently just watching as a neutral now. I'm watching all the games as a neutral fan for the podcast, but the Falcons, they're a very depressing team right now. Is a very broken franchise this season, and yeah, a lot of things has gone wrong this season. In terms of coaching, Zach Robinson needs to go. I believe he's our offensive coach. I think he needs to go. Obviously everywhere Raheem Morris go, he goes with him. But I think we need to get rid of Zach Robinson. I do like Raheem Morrison. I think he's but since he came in as a coach, he's brought in that culture back to Atlanta. We had Arthur Smith for 3 years, and I didn't think it would get more depressing than that, but this season it has. But every time we win a game, it means a lot to the players. Um, but obviously, we've only won 3 games, and it doesn't look like this franchise is going nowhere this season now. So he does have another year left. He did sign a 3-season contract, so depending if Arthur Smith will keep him for another season, who knows? But he'll be with us until the end of the season, and then a lot of conversations needs to be had in the Falcons back room. So yeah, yeah, a very disappointing, very depressing season as a Falcons fan. Um, at least the Dolphins has won more games than us, so at least something for you to smile about, Dyfed.
Well, do you know what? I don't smile because I completely sympathise with you. It feels like you're in the position, Guto. You're in my position where I was 3 or 4 weeks ago, where I just had to remove myself from the franchise. And literally, I've been watching the Dolphins. The Dolphins just played in Madrid, the first NFL game to be held at the Santiago Bernabeu, where Real Madrid play. And
Mm,
I can't say that I felt nothing, but I wasn't excited by what I saw. I literally, for the last
yeah.
month, I've been watching, not quite as a neutral, but I haven't been watching with expectation. Um,
Mm,
Thank goodness that we have a star running back in Devon Achan, who has like, reignited my love for the Dolphins, because outside of that, I have absolutely nothing to fight for and to cheer for, because you know we got rid of our GM 2 or 3 weeks ago. A lot of people thought that Mike McDaniel, our head coach, would have been sacked the same time. He is at least safe until the end of the season, and now the franchise is pretty torn whether to blow everything up at the end of the season or to tank to the end of the season. And one thing that I'll tell you, Gito, is I think Tua Tagovailoa's days as an NFL quarterback are numbered, because for the first time, I think, when I was watching in Sunday's game in Madrid, I saw the injuries that he's suffered over the last couple of years have really caught up to him, and he isn't the same athlete. He wasn't the best athlete to start off with coming out of college, if I'm honest with you, but the hip injury that he suffered last season in I believe a Sunday night game against Houston, and he was held out towards the end of the season. It seems like he can't move and he can't put any power into his throws. So I've been a massive Tua fan for the last 4 seasons, but I think his time as a quarterback in the NFL is coming to an end. I know that he signed an extension last off season that would probably keep him with the Dolphins for at least next season. Um, Personally, I'd like to see us cut our losses. We're going to take a massive hit of potentially 50, 60 million to our cap hit, but I would rather do that and potentially tank next season as well in order to get a QB in the 2027 draft. But anyway, back to the Falcons,
mm,
Guto. Like I said, we're in similar positions where you've had to, like I said, remove yourself from the franchise. Um, Obviously, you've been dealing with a lot of injuries. Drake London has had an exceptional year, let's be
mm,
honest. Um,
yeah.
at times, Bijan has looked like the best running back in the NFL, and then in other games, such as against the Dolphins, I think he rushed for only 20 or 30 yards, which is quite bizarre. Um, Kirk Cousins, when he's come in, from what I see, Guto has just literally looked off the boil. No chemistry with his wide receivers whatsoever.
Mm.
Um, and apart from Drake London, I think Kyle Pitts has been okay. Um,
Yeah.
but outside of Drake London, because I think the off season we talked about a really exciting, ferocious Atlanta offense, and I know that maybe the losses in your offensive line towards the beginning of the season might be a lot to do with what's going on at the moment. But the fact, like you said, the fact that Penix has torn an ACL as well, and he's going to be out for at least 9 months.
Yeah.
I mean, where does this leave you in terms of who's going to be your QB going into next season? I mean, is there any world, do you think, is there any chance that you're going to keep Cousins maybe for another year? I'm not sure if he's out of contracts towards the end of the season, actually. You know, there's no guarantee that the Penix is going to be ready, like you said, for week one. So,
Mm.
as a Falcons fan, what do you think you should do in terms of the quarterback room?
Well, it's a bit ironic that we spent 180 mil on a quarterback and signed a quarterback in the first round of the draft to avoid being in quarterback hell. And here we
Yeah.
are 2 seasons later in quarterback hell. Um, yeah, I don't see Kirk being there next season. I think he's going to go. I do think
Hmm.
he'll. I think the Falcons will cut their losses as well.
Yeah.
It's such a big cap hit. I think he's going to go.
Yeah.
Um, at the moment, we've signed Kyle Trask, former Bucks QB, to our practice squad. So
Mhm.
we'll probably have him in the books.
Okay.
And we do have Easton Stick as well, who is not a great talent. Um, so we'll have either one of them. We might look for someone in free agent if we have the money, or somebody later on in the draft. Who knows? But yeah, another letdown for me has been Darnell Mooney. Obviously, he's been missing a few weeks with injuries as well. We were both
Yeah.
looking forward to him at the start of the season, but he just hasn't really been performing well. He hasn't had any major runs or anything, I don't think. Drake London, I think he was at one point, I think it was last week, he had the fifth highest receiving yards, or fifth amount of catches. So he is, to me, he is a top five, top 10 wide
Absolutely.
receiver at the moment. Yes.
Mm.
Uh, Kyle Pitts, I think he's done okay. He's got good chemistry with Penix, I do believe. Bijan Robinson, obviously, top three to me, but it's just how the coaches use him, I think, especially Zach Robinson. They throw the ball at wrong times. They use him at incorrect times. In that game against the Dolphins, I don't think they used him at all in the fourth quarter. They just gave it up.
Mm.
So Bijan obviously looking quite upset on the
Well,
bench, and he didn't play at all
it
in the
didn't
fourth
help that
quarter.
it didn't help. Sorry, Guto, it didn't help that he fumbled as well. And I know Bijan never
Yeah,
fumbles the ball. He
yeah,
fumbled the ball,
yeah,
I think, in the third quarter, and I think after then, well, by then, I think the Dolphins were up 20 points maybe, and I think
mm,
the Atlanta coaching team just thought, well, it's just not your day, it's not going to happen, so they
yeah,
stopped calling running plays potentially. So it's
mm,
an interesting thing, but you've so at the end of the season you're going to have, like I said, you're going to have a big contract Cousins coming off the board. The
yeah,
Falcons then have a big decision. What are you going to do with Kyle Pitts? Because Kyle Pitts is playing on his
yeah,
on his 5th year deal. So you're
yeah,
either going to have to sign him to an extension, or he's either going to be released, or he's gonna go into free agency.
yeah.
Personally, and I know that you're a massive Kyle Pitts fan. Do you see him? Do you think he's going to be an attractive tight end around the league, or do you think the Falcons will be happy to retain him? And are they going to be willing to give him a contract extension? Has he done enough this year, basically, to show you that he deserves to have a contract extension?
In an ideal world, I would want to keep him as a Falcon.
Hmm.
However, we have another situation that we've got going on. Um, I think Drake London is asking for a bit of money, which is fair
Yes.
enough. So I
Yeah,
don't think we'll
he's
be able
due a
to
contract,
afford
isn't he?
his deal contract. I would probably want to keep Drake London more than Pitts. I think any Falcons fan would. I think losing
Yeah.
London would be even more of a nightmare for the Falcons next
Catastrophic.
season.
Yeah.
So I think if it comes to a point where we can keep both and move on in free agency to sign other players, improving our
Mm.
offensive and defense, whatever, happy days. But I do
Mm.
think they should focus a little bit more on getting our contract sorted for Drake London first of all.
Yeah.
I can see a world where Kyle Pitts does leave the Falcons, and we'll be either shopping elsewhere. We've got Charlie Warner, who's been our backup tight end for the last 3-4 years. Um, so I I can see a world where Kyle Pitts does stay,
Mm.
but I think I'm leaning more towards him leaving. Just
Yeah.
because we need to spend a bit of money on Drake London. Losing Drake London would be a nightmare for us. So I think
Mm.
the Falcons should focus on Drake London. Um, but I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on the Kelpis situation,
Sure.
and what's going to happen. I do think teams will, if he does end up as a free agent, I think quite a few teams would be looking at him. I think especially teams currently in rebuild, or a top team who's looking for a backup. I do think he'd be an asset to any team, whichever role he plays. So, but yeah, no, it would be a big loss because obviously I am a big fan of Kyle Pitts. I know he's become a bit of a meme with the fantasy lads, obviously being the number one pick, whatever. But no, he's been pretty well for the Falcons. I think he was a good pick when we picked him. I was there for his first ever touchdown when he played in London against the Jets. So I've seen his first touchdown for the Falcons. But I think we should focus more right now on getting that contract done for Drake London.
Fair. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think that makes sense as well.
yeah,
And I guess, yeah, you probably have at least maybe one more season before you're going to have to pay Bijan as well. So you might as well
yeah.
get Drake London's contract out there now because, like I said, he is, for me, he's this season especially, he's been, if not a top five wide receiver, close enough to five wide receiver. I mean, in the game, in the game up in New England, he was the best player on the park by far.
Yeah,
And I know he's
yeah,
caught 3 touchdowns on that occasion as well. So yeah, he's
mm,
he's he's going to be the next big wide receiver to get big money,
yeah,
100%. So
yeah,
yeah, watch that space as you said. In free agency, I guess, beginning of next year. Okay, cool. So we'll leave the Falcons there because we will
mm,
come back to them because they are in one of our five of the week at the end shortly. Guto, talking of other injuries, obviously because we've
mm,
been off there for 2 weeks. Um, Jackson Dart. A lot of changes at the New York Giants. So they last week they fired their head coach Brian Dable. I think the writing was on the wall there. Jackson Dart, who has been a revelation this year since starting in week 4, I believe. He's been out a couple of games as well. The Giants have suffered, although they played really well at Green Bay actually on the weekend. Jameis Winston has been starting
mm,
for them. So yeah, I think Jackson. Obviously, it's not a season-ending injury. He will be back potentially this weekend or next weekend, so we will see him very, very shortly. But in terms of the Giants, obviously they've suffered Cam Scaraboo, obviously a really nasty injury. Jackson
yeah,
Dart has been out a couple of weeks as well, I believe, with a concussion.
mm,
Um, Brian Dable has been fired. Um, I think it was a no-brainer to see that we saw that coming.
yeah, yeah. Which is, I don't. 2-3 weeks ago, I did not see the Giants being a team that's only won 2 games. I felt like they've won
Mm.
more than 2 games, but they've
Yeah,
lost it in the last drive. They lost it in the last minute. So they've performed really well, apart from the last 2-3 weeks. Um, and obviously they've had a lot of hype. Obviously with Jackson Dart, the way he's playing, he's doing great numbers, even though he's been losing games. Cam Scatterbo, he's been a highlight as well. Malik Neighbours, obviously his second season, and it was
yeah,
unfortunate that he had a season-ending injury as well. But having those three back together next year, I think the Giants fans are just waiting for this season to finish just so we can see those three play next season, and I'm looking forward to that as well. I love Jackson Dart. I love
me too.
Cam Scatterville. I love Malik Neighbours. I think that's a really good lineup right there itself. They just need that bit of stability in the coaching room. So obviously they've sacked their former coach. They've got Mike Kafka as their interim coach at the moment. I don't see him
Okay.
being there next season. So I do think there'll be. I think a lot of coaches who will be looking for jobs will be keen to apply for that specific role with
100%.
especially with the offense that they've got, and obviously they'll have a top 10 pick, top 5 pick, so they're in a very good
Potentially top
position
5,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, so they're in although not winning games, but next season they look to be in a pretty decent position. So
Yeah.
but yeah, no surprise that they had to move on from their coach and
Yeah.
start rebuilding properly. I'm looking forward to next season.
I completely agree with you. I think the Giants gig, head coaching job is a really desirable one, especially for, I don't know if they're going to go the same route as they did before with Dable. Are they going to go for a first time head coach, or are they going to actually go with someone that's more knowledgeable, I guess, or has got more history, or has been a head coach before? So yeah, but definitely that's one of the most tastiest, I think, attributes out there. Another bit of news, Guitar,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure how I feel about this. Well, no, I'm going to say how I feel about this. Joe Burrow is apparently he's back in practice with the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, I believe, are 3-7 currently, or 4-7. I can't remember. So basically, I know mathematically they're still in the playoff hunt, although the Steelers are by far got the best record in the North. The Ravens have resurrected this season since Lamar's come back. They've won 3 in a row, so they're 5-5 at the moment, looking potentially as if they are looking inwards on one of the wildcard spots. The Cleveland Browns are an absolute mess at the moment. Shedeur Sanders is going to start his first NFL game on Sunday. He had an atrocious debut on Sunday. So yeah, the Browns are an absolute mess. I think Guto, another head coach on the hot seat that probably will be fired at the end of the season, is Kevin Stefanski from Cleveland. I think he's another one that's going to be gone.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow, surely if you've got any brain cells whatsoever, if you're on the board, if you're a head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, please don't let Joe Burrow come back into this situation. The Bengals, I think we talked about this before coming online. The Bengals have one of, if not the worst defense in the NFL. Shock, horror, no shock there whatsoever. We've been saying this for the last since the birth of the NFL Cymru podcast, Guto. The fact that we have absolutely no defense for the Bengals organization. They just
Yeah.
haven't developed their defensive side, and look at where they are now. Although the Bengals, since Joe Flacco has become the QB1 of the Bengals, I think they've been scored. I think they're top 5 in terms of scoring teams, but they're in the bottom 5, if not the bottom 2, defensively, and that's what's been going on since Joe Burrow really has been drafted 4 or 5 years ago. So surely you're going to shelve him for the rest of the season, and then you're going to have to do 2 things. One, you're going to have to do some work on the offensive line to make sure that he's not injured again. And secondly, please, please, please add some decent defensive players, some quality on the defense. Because aside from that, again, another head coach is on the hot seat is Zach Taylor as well. He's running out of time in Cincinnati. I'm not sure if you agree.
I do. Yeah, I do agree with you. Um, the Joe Burrow situation for me is a confusing one. Obviously, he's
It's
has he
bizarre,
been
isn't it?
injured?
Yeah.
He's been injured twice this season, I believe, or is it just a
Yeah.
one long injury season?
I think it's just the one long injury. Yeah.
So do you want to bring him back against a Patriots top of the AFC at the moment. Do you want to bring him back against the Ravens defense at the moment, risking
No.
him another injury? They've got the Bills as well. They're playing Ravens twice in the next few weeks. So do you want to bring him back?
Do you want to bring him
And
back against the Dolphins just before Christmas as well? I mean,
well,
I'm
that's a
joking, no.
debatable question for another episode, I think. Um, but yeah, I'm thinking of the situation where Jaden Daniels for the
Yeah.
Commanders, he's had a season-ending injury, and a lot of the media was blaming the coach because they've used him in the fourth quarter when the game was already over for them, and the coach even said that it's my fault that I kept using him. So I could just imagine bringing Joe Burrow back. Who's, let's be honest, even if he does play this weekend, he's not going to be 100% fit. So I think it is a big risk to bring him back as early as this week. It may be next week as well. So it's it's a confusing one. But yeah, obviously with the defense, quick note on the defense. Obviously they've not been investing, and yeah, it's like we've built this podcast around the Bengals defense because that's literally one of the many first conversations that we've had here with the
Mm,
podcast. So it's a bit of a funny one that we talk about the Bengals all the time, and it's the same old story, really. So it'll be interesting what they do next season with that defense as well. Obviously they'll
absolutely.
splash the cash on the two wide receivers. How many seasons does Joe Burrow have left with the Bengals as well? I think that's an interesting question needs to be asked.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a fair
Mm.
point because obviously I don't see a world potentially where Joe Burrow isn't with Cincinnati because he's an Ohio
Yeah,
native.
that's true.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I know that he signed a mega deal at the time, but like you said, he's turning into an injury prone quarterback at this time, and I'm not. And let's be honest, I know we've been harping on about the lack of quality on the defensive side, but let's be honest, they haven't. Or although even when the Bengals have tried to to throw money towards their offensive linemen, that hasn't even worked either because quite often the offensive line has got Joe Burrow injured. I know
Mm.
some of them have been freak injuries, but look at his rookie season. He tore an ACL because he wasn't protected, and I'm not sure if this foot injury I can't remember if this foot injury that's kept him out for almost 3 months was because of a poor offensive line as well. I think it's maybe a little bit of both because Burrow does play, you know, just at the edge of the line as well.
Mm.
So maybe he needs to look after himself a little bit better. But the Bengals have a real conundrum, especially if they decide, like I said, to move on from Zach Taylor. I just feel like they just need to kind of reset in terms of their mentality, in terms of right, who are we prioritizing here? Instead of having, like you said, instead of having two number one wide receivers, how about having one number one wide receiver getting Chase, and you could have used that other 100 million that you gave to T Higgins on a decent offensive line and some really really good pass rushers or cornerbacks or
Mm.
whoever.
Yeah.
Um, Trey Hendrickson, who signed an extension, a 1 year extension, he's been injured as well, so that doesn't help. So yeah, it's just a catalogue of errors
Yeah.
from the backroom staff and the owners there for Cincinnati and the GM. So yeah, well, definitely there might be a few coaches, leaving. Probably they'll wait until the end of the season, but I can think of Stefanski and Zach Taylor, and that's only in the AFC North. And I can think of many others off the top of my head. So obviously we'll have to see at the end of the season about that. So Guto, shall we move on to what are we now? I can't remember. Week 13, week 14. We're going to finish off with our usual sequence, which is five of the week.
Yeah.
Some really really attractive games coming up, slate of games. So I think the best one, let's start with the best one. Personally, I think is a really, really good test probably the best test that the Indianapolis Colts have
Mm.
had so far this season. Although they've got a really really good record at the moment. I think they only have what 3 losses, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah,
Um, One of them was to the Broncos, I believe. However, they are going to be traveling to Arrowhead Stadium to face the Chiefs. The Chiefs coming off a fourth quarter defeat against a narrow defeat. I think it was 22-19 at Denver. It was a battle of the defenses. Although Mahomes threw a pick, I have to say Travis Kelce, he's kind of resurrected himself. He looks really, really good at the moment. At times, the Kansas City offense looks really good. Rashee Rice as well. They just need a running game, Guto. And I think
yeah,
Pacheco is potentially going to come back this season. Well, at this week, rather. He's back in practice. So if the Chiefs get a running game, they could potentially sneak into the playoffs, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if they would. So this is going to be a massive test for the Colts, and I think you said before that Daniel Jones is questionable. He for this game on Sunday as well, or he's
he is.
limited rather.
Yes, so he had limited training, limited practice today, with
Okay,
a calf injury. Aren't the Colts coming off a bye week, or did they
they
win on the
are.
weekend?
Yes, they're coming off a
Yeah, so I'm
bye.
not sure where this calf injury's come from, to be honest with you, unless he was suffering from that win against the Falcons in Berlin.
Yeah,
So um, depending if he's healthy or not. But yeah, this is going to be a really good game. A very big, big test for the Colts as well. This is where they need to prove that they are. I think they will make the playoffs anyway, but they are
yeah,
deserving of being a playoff team in the next few years as well. So this is going to be a massive, massive test for them. But we have decided that we are going to go with a Chiefs win at home.
yeah.
Is that what we agreed on? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think obviously Jonathan Taylor has been a revolution this year, and I
Yeah.
know and I
Yeah.
know that he's had a fantastic year prior as well. Just before his injuries, I think it was his not his rookie season, his second season, where he was the lead rusher. Potentially, he was up for offensive player of the year. Um,
Yeah.
I think as long as the Chiefs stop the run. I think that they should take care of dealings here. They're
Yeah.
at home as well, coming off a really really tough loss. Um,
Yeah.
I think Mahomes will want to make up for that really, really costly interception that he threw. I believe it was the beginning of the fourth quarter where the Chiefs were rolling as
Mm.
well. So, yeah, so we've definitely. I didn't even think twice about this, Gito. I thought the Chiefs are home, coming off a loss. Um, Even though the Colts, like you
Mm.
said, coming off a bye, if they stop Jonathan Taylor, and I know that the Colts defense have been playing very, very well as well. And especially if Pacheco can have even some running game for the Chiefs, I think that they should win this one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm happy to go with the Chiefs on this one as well. And yeah, quick
Yeah,
shout out to Jonathan Taylor, who's had an exceptional
yeah,
season. Definitely a contender for MVP
class.
as well, I believe. He's definitely
Yeah,
a contender for MVP. Yeah.
100%.
So I'm
Um,
happy with the Chiefs.
yeah, whether they'll give it to a running back, it is another thing because obviously, usually they have to give it to a quarterback MVP. It doesn't happen very often, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who are the other runners for MVP. Would you think Drake May is probably one of them?
Drake May. Drake May. Well, 3 weeks ago I would have put Baker Mayfield on there, but I think he's
Yeah,
falling off the
yeah,
top two at the moment.
he has.
Drake May, 100%. I think you have to put Jalen Hurts in there for the Eagles as their number
Do
one
you
in the
think?
NFC right now at the moment.
Mm.
Matthew Stafford should be in contention for MVP.
Oh yeah, a hell of a shout.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
Matthew Stafford, hundred
yeah,
percent. The Rams are absolutely rolling, and
yeah,
perfect because we are going to talk about the Rams. They're our second pick. It or the Rams are at home, um, coming off a really good victory. Who do they play on Sunday? I can't even remember. Oh, they beat the Seahawks. a
They beat the
divisional game.
Seahawks. Yeah.
So coming off a win against the Seahawks, the Rams, I believe, are 9-2 as well, leading the West.
8-2 at the moment. 8-2.
8-2. Oh, they've
Yeah.
had a bye. So the Rams at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now then, I saw the Bucks play at Buffalo on
Mm.
Sunday, and they went toe to toe with the Buffalo Bills. Um,
Yeah.
and they just ran out of gas in the fourth quarter. Shout out to their running back, Sean Taylor, by the way. He scored 3 touchdowns. What an absolute beast of a game. And I believe, Guto, we awarded him with the Player of the Week
We
for
did.
last
Yeah.
for last week.
We did.
Sean
Yeah.
Tucker, sorry, not Sean Taylor. Sean Tucker, my bad.
Sean
Sorry.
Tucker, that's the one.
Sean
Yeah.
Tucker, sorry.
Rushing yards over 100 and receiving yards over 30 yards, 3 touchdowns. He only plays like one game a year, and
Exactly.
he plays the
He's
best
the-
game
he's-
of the season. So
He's not even a backup. He's the backup to the backup. So he's the third string running back.
yeah.
So yeah, what a
when
game
they
he had.
lost, even when they lost that game, we had to give him that reward. I think it was his only fair. So
Yeah,
but yeah, big game this weekend. Rams against the Buccaneers in LA. Matthew Stafford, obviously an MVP contender, but that's a conversation for another episode. Maybe
Yeah.
the next couple of weeks, David. But we've gone for the Rams win.
yeah. I mean, and let's be honest. I think we predicted this at the beginning of the season. Guto, what a signing Devontae Adams has been.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a breath of fresh air for him as well. I believe, obviously, his last
Yeah.
few seasons being at the not working well for the Raiders in his last season. Didn't really work well for the New York Jets, even with Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback helm.
Yeah.
But coming to the Rams, I think he just wanted that. I think Devontae Adams, even though he's a great player, I think he likes a bit of the spotlight as well. And being in LA, obviously the spotlight is on him. So obviously being where he is and playing really, really well as well, with a top tier quarterback in there as well. He's having a very tremendous season, and Puka Nacua as well. We have to give him a shout as well. He's
100%.
doing really, really well as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford with plenty of weapons for him, and yeah, they'll definitely be close to the Super Bowl, I believe. In the last,
Do you know what?
So-
If you're asking me now, who do you think that's going to win the NFC? I'd have to say that it's the Rams.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. It's between the Rams and the Eagles for me at the moment.
Yeah.
The Seahawks are close, even though they just come back from a loss. But
Yeah.
the Rams and the Eagles are top 2 for a reason at
Yeah.
the moment. So
Definitely.
but yeah,
Yeah,
Rams
and-
beating the Buccaneers.
Tampa. Sorry, Guto. Tampa Bay have. So they've suffered 2 losses in a row now. They lost to the Patriots at home, and then they lost to Buffalo. So they're starting to fall off. The connection between Baker and Ibuka hasn't been there the last 2 weeks. Actually, he's been finding other players elsewhere. Hence, what Sean Tucker did on Sunday against the Bills. They had obviously the Bills have, I think, one of the worst running defenses in the NFL. So that's all I'm going to say. The Bills defense is very, very, very vulnerable. So once they come up against some of the top teams, I genuinely don't think that the Bills are contenders for the AFC this year. Despite their record 7-3, I don't think that their defense is going to be good enough. And I know they've had a lot of unfortunate injuries on the defensive side as well. Just something tells me, I don't know. They're not there. Josh Allen is very inconsistent, I'd say, at the moment. He had a brilliant game on Sunday. He threw 3 touchdowns. However, he also threw 2 really, really silly interceptions as well. And coming off the game prior where they got steamrolled by the Miami Dolphins, and I have to put that there because we never, ever, ever beat the Bills. He
Yeah.
He threw an interception and he lost a fumble as well. So he's had 4 turnovers in the last 2 games. He's reverting to the old bad Josh Allen, where he's trying to do everything by himself, and I think he's
Mm.
trying too hard. And I think he's trying to make up for the lack of star power on defense. So I think the Bills are gonna. I don't think it, or that I think the Patriots are gonna win the division. I think the Bills will probably have to
Mm.
um, go through as a wild card in the AFC.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but anyway, back to so yeah, definitely. So we picked the Rams over the Buccaneers, who are falling at the moment. So I see a third loss for the Bucks there. Okay, so this next one is probably gonna divide opinion, Guto. We have to put this in. Um, I'm intrigued by this next matchup. The Saints at home to the Falcons.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Okay,
I'll let you begin. I'll let you begin.
okay. So Tyler, what's the name of the Saints
Tyler
quarterback as well?
Shook.
Tyler Shook, thank you. Um, I haven't been impressed by Tyler Shook since he's taken over, and I know he's only played 2 games, to be fair.
Yeah. No.
Playing against a really, really dodgy offensive line, and they've just traded Rashid Shaheed away to the Seahawks as well. So he's basically only
Yeah.
throwing to Chris Olave. I get that it's a really, really poor situation to be in. Um, Gito, I think the Falcons, they should win this game,
Yeah.
even with Kirk Cousins at the helm. And I
Mm.
know that you're going to be. The problem is you're going to be without Drake London. However, I think this is a game where you're going to have to give Bijan Robinson the ball 30 carries. And I think that if you run the ball, ultimately, I don't think the Saints have enough on offense to score more than 15 points, dare I say. And I think the Falcons have. If the Falcons score more than 20, you win this game. That's what I
Mm.
think.
Okay. I am a bit on the fence on this one. I know I did say at the start of the before you were recording that I was going to go with the Saints win just because of the
Mm,
situation that the Falcons are in.
hmm
Tyler Shook has not been impressive. No offense to him. Spencer Rattler wasn't even impressive in the first few weeks
No.
anyway. So they will get a top 3 pick next season. They will be in a hunt for a brand new quarterback next season. Um, and obviously trading their best players as well, so they are in a massive rebuild.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I had a text message from one of my good friends in New Orleans. First of all, with a picture of saying no one likes Atlanta. So but we have a bit of a friendly rivalry going on there. He's predicted a score: Saints 31, Atlanta 13.
31. Oh,
Yes.
with all due respect to your biased New Orleans friend, I don't think the Saints have scored 30 points through the whole season. I might be wrong here. Um, that's a little bit disrespectful to the Falcons defense, I have to say. But
Yeah.
I think that's very unrealistic, if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what? Let's talk a bit of positive. We've got the second highest sack number of in the season. We're just one behind.
Hey,
Uh,
now
that
then,
we're
okay,
one behind the Broncos. So
fair.
um, yeah, yeah. So the defense are doing really well. I think our defense are in good hand next season. Um,
Your edge rushers, especially because obviously you went
yeah,
heavy
yeah,
there, first and second round, didn't you, of the NFL,
yeah,
of this year's draft? So it's nice
yeah,
to see that that's coming off.
yeah,
That's a really good
yeah,
start. I would have never said actually that the Falcons would be top 2
yeah.
in terms of sacks.
No,
So that's a really good sign.
yeah. Do you know what? Let's go with the Falcons win on this one. If we give
Yeah,
the
let's do
ball
it. Let's
to
do it.
Bijan
Come
Robinson,
on.
if we give the ball to Bijan as much as possible, if we can
Mhm.
get him on the run, don't let Kirk throw the ball more than 20 yards, maybe, then we have a good chance of winning this one. In New Orleans as well. New Orleans hate Atlanta, and they make it very noisy for Atlanta. But yeah, it's not going to be a comfortable one. I'm not 100% with it, but for the sake of this choice, for the sake of the logistics of it, let's go with the Falcons win.
For the sake of your sanity, Guto, I think let's go for a Falcons win, right?
Yeah. Let's go for it. I'll regret it at the end of the episode, but let's do it just for the laugh, and
Cool.
just so I can throw it into Cynan's face as well.
Exactly. Yeah. We have to. You know, every opportunity that you can, you have to throw that in. Hey, and didn't you beat Cynan in our fantasy as well?
I thrashed Cynan in the fantasy this week. It was so good to see. I absolutely demolished him. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Love to see that.
Cynan, if you fancy joining us on the show, you're more than welcome to. We can have a decent chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it would be quite interesting. It would be quite good to have him on the pod after Sunday, actually, to have his.
Yeah.
Well, to have his. Well, it's either gonna be his smug face if the Saints win, or it's going to be his despaired face, obviously, and we've had that a lot, obviously, if you're a Saints fan this season. Okay, so we've got 2 more games left, Guto. The next one is a really interesting one. So another team that's come out of nowhere, the Chicago Bears are what? They're 7-3. How the hell has that happened?
7-3, and number 3. Yeah, obviously they're top of the NFC North at the moment. So where have they come from? Honestly, I'm pretty sure the first 3 or 4 weeks, the fans were calling for Caleb Williams to be ripped off his contract.
Benched.
They wanted new coaches, even though they've got a new head coach. So yeah, the first 4 weeks was everyone hates Bears, but now they're 7-3. Caleb Williams is doing extremely well at the moment. So, and to be honest, I don't even see them slowing down. I do see them ending up making the playoffs. Let's have a quick look on the NFC picture here. So, well, yeah, you've got the Packers and the Lions behind them, but yeah, I do see 3 teams from the North making the playoffs in the end. So,
do you?
I think the Vikings will miss out, but we'll talk about that later on. I do see the Vikings missing out. They're 4-6 at the moment. The Vikings. Only the other 3 teams have a winning record, but the Bears being on top.
Fair. That's I still think that the Lions will win that division. Sorry. Yeah. So, like you said, they
outside
are.
So the Lions are 6-4. They're outside the playoffs at the moment.
Yeah,
just by
they're
1.
6-4 because coming off a loss at Philadelphia on Monday night as well. So and then obviously because of that tie, the Packers are 5-4-1, I believe.
The Packers are 6-3-1.
6-3-1. Okay.
Yeah, so they currently hold the number 6 place in.
Ultimately, I think the Lions will win the division, and I think the Bears will finish second. And I think Green Bay are going to lose out. I don't think the Packers are going to make I don't think they're going to make it. But anyway, the Bears at home against the Steelers.
Against the Steelers, yeah, against the Steelers. The Steelers currently 6-4.
Obviously Aaron Rodgers was injured on Sunday. Some people thought that he broke his or fractured his hand or his wrist. Thankfully for Steelers fans, it's his non-throwing wrist, and Aaron Rodgers is back at practice. Apparently, he's going to play with a cast, but he's determined to play for the rest of the season.
Yeah. It's his last season, so he wants to play as much as he can. So,
or will it be his last season?
I'd be surprised not to see him. Well, has he only signed a 1 year deal with the Packers?
Yeah,
Not the
1 year,
Packers,
one
the
year
Steelers.
with the
Sorry.
Steelers. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a
the
1 year deal.
Steelers. So, um, yeah, he'll make his decision right before the regular season anyway. So it'll be another long summer if he does decide to wait it out or
Yeah.
not.
I
Um,
think it
but
depends how
anyway,
far the Steelers
going
go
into this game,
in the playoffs. I think obviously
yeah,
all signs point to them winning the division at the moment. However, the Ravens, like I said, are hot on the heels at the moment. They're only 1 game back at 5-5,
yeah,
so anything could happen. And I think
yeah,
the Ravens and the Steelers have to play each other twice before the end of the season. So that's gonna be a really fun division to watch. Um, Especially if the
yeah.
Steelers lose, and we've got them losing at Chicago, haven't we?
We do, and I'm really happy with that as well. Like I said,
Mhm.
I don't see the Bears slowing down anytime soon. I think they're an exciting team to watch at the moment. But like I said, just out of nowhere, like
Mm.
like how did it happen? I can't even put a finger on it, to be honest with you. They've just been performing really well, um, and they deserve to be in the position that they are. So yeah, I see them getting another win here, and I see them improving to 8-3.
8-3, absolutely wild. They've won.
Eight and
I know. I
three.
think we said a lot, didn't we? The Bears have won a lot of close games, 1-score games, I believe.
Yeah,
Um, Obviously, some season think if you're on the wrong side of that, some seasons you could say that, oh, if we would have won those 1-score games, we could have had a positive um record. So the Bears are clearly winning close games at the moment. Whether their luck is going to run out
yeah,
remains to be seen. But yeah, absolutely. I see them beating the Steelers at home, which takes us to our last
yeah,
game. I
yeah.
think this is probably going to be the hottest take from us this week by far. So the last game that we've gone for is
Yeah,
the Dallas Cowboys hosting the Philadelphia Eagles, who are on an absolute tear at the moment. I believe they've won 5 or 6 games in a row, if not more. However, just before we started recording it, I went back, or we went back rather, to check because the Dallas Cowboys, although they don't have a winning record at the moment, they are scoring so many points. I think that I went back and I believe they've scored 40 points 3 or 4 times this season, and they've hit 30 as well.
yeah,
They're a high
yeah,
flying offense. They've got CD Lamb back. However, for me, he's not the best wide receiver on that roster at the moment. George Pickens is having one heck of a come out year. Obviously, we saw his talent with the Steelers. It
yeah,
was a massive trade sending him to Dallas in the first place. The Dallas offense, for me, is going to take care of the Eagles here. And because Dallas at home as well, and I know a lot of people, this is going to take a lot of people the wrong way because the Eagles, like I said, have got all the momentum. However, uh, Dallas are just scoring, like I said, they're scoring stupid amount of points at the moment. So we've gone for Dallas, haven't we, at home?
yeah. We have gone for a Dallas Cowboys win. They might call it a Dallas Cowboys upset if they do win it, and I just don't
Yeah,
see the Eagles pulling the sweep on this one. I really don't. Obviously, they're flying at the moment, based on their motto "Fly Eagles Fly" as well. But they're doing
sure.
really well at the moment. 8-2 in the in the records. But yeah, something that's telling me here. Even before we got on the call, I just thought the Cowboys are going to win this one at home. This is going
Mm.
to be a very exciting watch as well. Two heavyweights. This is going to be a late game, a 9:25 game for us here. Clashing with the Saints of Falcons, so I know which one I'll be watching. Um,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and this is going to be a really good heavyweight bout. This one. And yeah, George Pickens having a great season, a hell of a season. CeeDee Lamb as well, I think he's doing pretty well as well. But yeah, all
Yeah.
credit to Pickens at the moment. He's doing exceptionally well.
Yeah, Lamb has been out. CD Lamb has been out injured for a while, so I think he's still working his way back. But yeah, George Pickens has just exploded onto the scene in Dallas, and his chemistry with Dak Prescott obviously has been second to none. And he stepped into that wide receiver one role. So potentially you could see that the Dallas have two number one wide receivers there for me, easy with CD and Pickens as well. So with a better defense,
Yeah,
Guto, the Dallas
yeah,
Cowboys could be a really, really exciting game, a really exciting team. And who knows if they keep this up, they could potentially squeeze into the a wild card place. You never know, into the playoffs with we've got around 6 games to go. I'm not sure
yeah,
how far off they are at the moment. They must be in the hunt in the AFC. Um, yeah, not sure about their record at the moment, but anyway. So there we are. We are closing in on an hour there, Guto. I thought we had less to talk about this week, but there we are. Clearly not. We've gone in depth about a lot of, gosh, in terms of our teams. Obviously, it hasn't panned out for the Dolphins or the Falcons this year. Um, but we still, like I said, we still live in hope. We're still gonna watch, maybe not as closely, as intensely as we would. Um, because obviously there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of problems, like Guitar mentioned at the beginning of the pod, behind closed doors with the Dolphins and the Falcons. But we're still fighting. The Dolphins technically aren't out to the playoff race. I know that's crazy to say because we've won two in a row. But yeah, it's almost better, get off it from a Dolphins point of view, that we don't. I'd rather have a high draft pick in next year's draft. Um, and I'm sure the same and obviously with the Penix injury, that's kind of almost kind of the last nail in the coffin for the Falcons as well. Although you're technically not out, I don't think you're out to the playoff picture as well. Maybe if you lose one more game, potentially that might be it for the Falcons, I think. Um, and and
yeah,
and and the Bucks, I think, will potentially run away with that division. Although the Panthers are hot on the heels, that don't count the Panthers out because they're incredibly streaky at the moment.
yeah, yeah. Out of nowhere as well. They've got a higher record than the Kansas City Chiefs, funnily enough.
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
would
they
have
do.
thought that at the start of the season?
Yeah,
Just in terms of the playoff picture, if results go the wrong way for the Giants, who are playing in Detroit against the Lions, they could potentially be the first team officially eliminated from the playoff picture if things don't go well
okay.
for them. They'll need losses from other games as well going against them, but they could potentially mathematically, technically, be the first eliminated team of the season. But
Fair.
we shall wait and see on that on Sunday night. A quick note before we end the episode. Next week, going into week 13, will be an interesting episode because it's Thanksgiving week, so we'll have two games on Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday night, a 6 o'clock game. Um, Thursday the 27th. So we'll start off with the Lions against the Packers. And then at
Nice.
9:30, we've got the Cowboys against the Chiefs. So I don't know about you, Dyfed, but I would be very interested to host an episode live as the games are on in the background. What do you think?
How about that? That's a great idea, Guitar.
How about that?
Absolutely. That's a really good
Mm.
idea.
Yeah, something for the
And
fans.
yeah, absolutely, and it's great because we'll be able to react, obviously, and obviously, it's kind of
Yeah,
come part of tradition now that the Lions always play on Thanksgiving. You've got two
yeah,
brilliant matchups there, obviously, in a divisional game between the Lions and the Packers as well. trying to catch up with the Bears, especially if they win on Sunday. And then obviously all dependent what happens with the Chiefs playing at home, like I said, against the high-flying Colts. If they win as well, they and against the
Yeah.
Cowboys, if the Cowboys, we've predicted the Cowboys to win against the Eagles. Oh, a lot is at stake for all four teams. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it. Thursday night is and when we usually record a pod as well. We could potentially have a guest pop in and out as well. That might be another idea. But
Mm.
yeah, I love that idea, Guto. Absolutely, 100%. Let's do it.
Mm. Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Thanksgiving week is when things start to get real in the NFL. I believe
Yeah,
teams start thinking, right, we need to push for the playoffs now, or it's too late.
yeah,
So I think week 13 is when people think, are we going to make the playoffs? Are we not going to make the playoffs? So it's going to get real from next week. It's going to get real from next week.
yeah. Absolutely. It's basically, yeah,
Mm.
like they said, basically Thanksgiving week or December is where it all counts. That's where you see like I said, who are the
Yeah.
pretenders basically in the NFL, um, and who's gonna maybe hit the purple patch, hit the momentum, start playing well at the right time of the season, which is ultimately in December,
Yeah.
coming up to the playoffs just after in early January as well. So yeah, we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see
Yeah.
the real teams emerge over the next couple of weeks, and we'll definitely be looking out for them and which teams are going to fall off ultimately as well. So there we are. That's another episode in the books.
Yeah.
Like I said, sorry for the hiatus once again. I don't predict another one before the end of the season. Like I said, we've only got 6 weeks left, so hopefully we're gonna have a slightly different episode for you. With Thanksgiving week coming up next Thursday. Thank you, Guto, for your insight once again. Obviously, we're going to continue all over the socials. Thank you very much to our former guest, Christy, who came on the pod 2 weeks ago. Like I said, hopefully we're going to have some more guests coming on between now and the end of the season. 100%. We would love to have their company. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. We're going to be on YouTube. This episode will be up within the next 24 hours. Check us out on X and on Instagram as well. Thank you so much again for watching. We are the NFL Cymru Pod. See you next week.